Okay. If you're watching this later on the replay, I'd suggest you just completely end it. Get out of here because there ain't nothing here to listen to. But should you decide you want to just watch it afterwards, well, jump forward 5 or 10, 15, 20 minutes because it's going to be dead. Airballs, Tim. How's Tim today? I've been making and canning all day long green tomato chili verde sauce. Um, I don't know if canning season's ever going to end. Cool. I need the space to do that. I need the space to build shelves for my canning equipment. Oh, this shed out here right by my woodshed. I had to clean it off, tear the roof off, put a new roof on it, and turn that into a pantry and a turn it into a pantry and the canning storage place. I should do that this winter. That reminds me, I did plant some green beans, but what I did grow, I'm just going to let it go to seed. I got to get out there and pick those and dry them for next year's garden. No such thing as too many jars. I need to get a bunch more. I need to probably get about 10 more dozen pint jars. I think I have enough quart jars if I crawl up in the attic space of the shop out there. I got several out there of the quart jars. Actually, I can't imagine Tim as much over the what we've known each other for like what five at least 5 years, and over that 5 years, he's constantly been collecting more and more jars constantly. As much jars you collect, I don't know how you can in them all. I'll bet you as many jars as you got, you probably have probably a good 10 or 20 of them that have that craved for number 13 on the bottom of the jars. Is that right? 13 or is it 18 or something like that? You probably got several of those. Yeah, number 13. You have a bunch? Yeah. I figured that. Good afternoon, Nikki. How's Nikki today? Nikki, I thought I was done with the canning, but I've been canning up a whole bunch more green tomato chili verde sauce. And it's a never-ending story. I'm well, but tired. Tired of canning. Although I was going to go up and work on a friend of my property, follow some dead snags and stuff today. But when I got up this morning, my guts were telling me maybe you better stay on home. I won't go into the details, but all that passed. What I should do is I should turn that into a canning kitchen for me out there. Pantry, use that as a pantry and canning kitchen, but then it gets too hot in there for storing the jars that you already canned. So I best not do the canning part in there. Just storage. Well, our winters aren't bad here. They're wet, but I mean, it's not like I live in the far north or anything. In snow country and stuff, we get very little snow, so there's not really much preparation for winter other than wrapping up the garden and all that type of stuff. Making sure that I have enough firewood put up. Actually, here in Western Oregon, life is actually pretty easy. Other than we got a bunch of Nikki C. Democrats pulling your leg there. Oh, you're right next door then to Tim. I'm not sure what part of Pennsylvania he lives in, but he lives in Pennsylvania too. I think you guys get a little bit more snow than we do, but most of the time the temperatures seem to be relatively the same. You're in South Pennsylvania, okay. Well, that's still neighbors. Closer to Tessie. All right, Junkyard. How's it going, Junkyard? I wish our deer season was in November. if our deer season was in November, by that time I'd have most of the stuff done that I'm getting done around the place and stuff. That'd leave me more time for hunting. Deer, bear, and bobcat. Well, I don't know how good bobcat is eating. I would expect that to be kind of stringy. But I know that if you grind bear meat and deer meat together, it makes a heck of a hamburger. Yeah, we got plenty of elk. I had a big old 6 point here on my property when I first bought this place. I see it spotted a couple times. Once it was up right on the hill right behind our house, and I didn't see it, but I heard him crashing on it. I heard his horns clicking through the brush. That's how I knew it was a bull. And about a week later, I I was heading out to work about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and pulling out my driveway right in my headlights was a big old 6 point bull elk. But that's the last time I seen any elk on our property. That was a long time ago. Now I do know that I have seen elk, within a mile of our place, so they're close by. Had a cat named Bob. I had a cat named Thanksgiving, another one named Christmas, another one named 4th of July. Oh, that's cool, Nicky. Shoot, that'd make my back window a hunting stand. And get my rifle and perch out right out that window with the heat going behind me. Oh boy. I don't know if I'd want the dogs tangling with a bobcat that size junkyard. That'd make me nervous. When you hit those pellet piles. Oh, those little poop piles, all those are just little raisin piles. That's where raisins come from. As 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 Moose calls it, those are forest berries. And they're good eating. So he says. High in fiber. One was a small bobcat. I tried to latch on in my younger stupid years. I tried to latch on to a bobcat. It didn't even know I was there. I was at work and I was having lunch. There was a retaining wall between me and the bobcat. The bobcat came nonchalantly along. He had walked right on the other side of the retaining wall from me. Didn't know I was there. I was about 4 foot from the retaining wall, and it was about 2 foot on the 2 or 3 foot on the other side of the retaining wall. I jumped over the top of that retaining wall, tried to land on top of it, was going to grab that bobcat. Fortunately, that bobcat was quicker than me because hindsight, I hate to think of what I would look like now. If I had got a hold of that bobcat, I'm sure I would have regretted it. Just kept on and on. They was romancing. They must have been romancing, Junkyard. They were wrong for that. I bet you they would have made for some interesting babies. Ones that'd be very hard to tame. I was hoping Rendor or somebody would go live this evening. I really didn't want to go live, but didn't see nobody else going live, so I thought I'd jump on here. Hey, Renda, I was just saying, I was hoping you'd go live. I know, Nikki. I was looking for you too. You go live once a year? Yeah, at that car show. Actually, either at the car show or 4th of July. Sometimes you go live twice a year. Yeah, and a few of those times you've been going live before I wake up in the morning, so quite often I miss your morning live streams. I'm starting to sleep in more and more. I mean, some mornings I get up at 4:30 still. But some mornings I don't get up till 5:30 or 6. Oh, that sounds good, Nikki. What kind of fish? Just some whitefish? Taste Picante sauce is not made in New York City. No, I did not know that. I figured it would be. Oh, wow. That's a long sleep, Brenda. Well, I'll tell you guys what I did most of yesterday. a friend of mine, he has a Toyota FJ and Land Cruiser. His front disc pads were wearing pretty thin, and when he had hit the brakes, it would pull hard to the right. They wanted $800 to redo his brakes. And I told him, I said, well, you bring it on over here and get the parts, and I'll do it for a lot cheaper. I won't charge you anything on the labor. So anyway, he bought the parts. He brought it on up here, and I told him, just get the disc pads until we tear on into it, so we know what we're into. I pulled the pads off, and the discs, the rotors were still looking good. Nothing wrong with them. So I went and pulled the caliper off, and it had four of those plungers, pistons, with 4 plunger pistons, 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside of each caliper. And the 2 on the outside, I was able to press back, no problem. But the 2 on the inside, they were froze up. So we had to get a new caliper to go on that side there. So I got it. We went down, picked up a new caliper, and put the brakes on, put it together. On the other side, there was one bolt that was to pull the caliper off. I couldn't even pull the caliper off. It was like it was JB welded in there or something. I don't know what the deal is with it, but I discovered that with that type of caliper that was on there, I was able to press the pads back and slip them on out the backside of it without having to take the caliper off. So I was able to replace that side, no problem. Got everything back together. The new caliper that I put on there, I got as tight as I could by hand. Got it together. Topped off the reservoir a little bit because we lost some. When I replaced the caliper, of course, I had to get that filled up with oil and stuff. And anyway, I got it all topped off, got everything going good. He drove it on home, said it didn't pull at all. Everything was great. Drove it on home this morning. No, yesterday morning. That was the day before yesterday. Yesterday morning, he goes to town and he calls me up. He says, help. I got problems. And what's up? He says, the front driver's side brakes or something. There's a horrible banging noise up there. Says, I don't know what it is. I said, well, I'm trying to make it to your place. And I said, don't move it. Just leave it parked right there. And I'll come to you. Don't move it. So I drove on over there. And those 2 bolts that hold the caliper on, I'd gotten them as tight as I could get, but apparently it wasn't tight enough because they had fallen out. And that caliper was banging around and it just kind of back off some. It was kind of sitting in there cockeyed. So anyway, I took the wheel off, got the caliper back on. Had to hunt to get some bolts that would work. Finally went to none of the mechanic shops, O'Reilly's and Napa. They didn't have the bolts that I needed, so I went to the Ace Hardware, and they had the bolts that I needed, but they were about 3.5 inches longer than needed. So I got extra washers, got it on there, tightened it down as tight as I could. Checked the pads, the new pads. There was nothing wrong with them. The rotor wasn't damaged. Nothing was damaged. So he got off lucky. I got it all back together, torqued it on down, took it didn't torque it, but tightened it down as hard as I could. No room to put a cheater bar in there, by the way. Otherwise, I would have used a cheater bar on there to tighten it up even more. But if I had a jack to lift everything up a lot higher, yeah, then I could. But anyway, we took it out for a little test drive. Everything ran good. Pulled it back here again. Then I crawled underneath it again and was able to get another slight little turn, just like one pop on each bolt, just a little clicking sound that it made. The bolt made from being tightened up a little bit more. He drove it on home, and I told him, I said, this could happen again. So I said, when you get on home, you check it again. Every time you drive somewhere, get out and check it for a while. So he got on home, he checked it, he says he was able to get one more little click to tighten it up a little bit more. Um, and that was last night. And then this morning he came on down here and stopped by here for a bit, checked it again, got one more click. Then he went to town, did a little driving around, got into town, crawled underneath it, went to tighten it again. At that time, he says he couldn't tighten it anymore. So apparently all's well that ends well. But I told him to keep an eye out at least once every day, to make sure. But I was really glad nothing happened because it would have been my fault. I mean, I just didn't get those tight enough. I don't have the strength I used to have. Thursday, we have our meeting with Tom's cardiovascular team. That day, hopefully, we find out when his surgery will be. Okay, cool. Oh, I thought he had his surgery. It's made just across the river at Campbell Soup. Huh. I didn't know that junkyard where Pace was made at. It was made in Oklahoma, huh? What really kind of had me worried afterwards is see those tires on it. It has 17-inch rims. Those suckers are heavy. They're not the aluminum alloy rims either. He's got the steel rims on there. I'll be right back. I gotta grab me a cup of coffee. Okay. Got me my last cup of coffee. I'm all set for a little bit. But anyway, yeah, that had me a little bit nervous. I could have caused an accident for him. But I really thought that they were tight enough that it wouldn't have that problem. But last time I did some thinking, I thought it was a fart too. I should learn my lesson on thinking. Don't do it anymore. What did I do? Put everybody to sleep with my story? You come out. I carry good battery powered impact lug wrenches. Yeah, but where those bolts were at, I wouldn't be able to get an impact on there with. Um, well, maybe if I did a long, maybe if I started out with like a 2-inch extension and then a swivel and then another 12-inch extension to get down below the stuff, maybe I could got an impact on it that way. Yeah, these tires, I could not, lifting them on up to put them on the studs. It was everything that I could do to get them on there. I mean, it was I'm starting to realize I don't have the strength that I used to have. And it sucks. Now, from what I remember, Junkyard, usually the calipers only have one piston on the inside. They don't have a piston on the outside, do they? Just one piston on the inside. Is that right how they usually are, Junkyard? And they're usually about 2.5 inches, roughly 2.5 inches across those pistons. Because I still remember pistons being on the outside. But this had two pistons on the inside and two pistons on the outside. Yeah, this had four. This one had four, two of them on the inside and two of them on the outside. And they were maybe about the size of a 50-cent piece. Bomb burrito. I figured they were probably making those brakes heavy duty because of the size and the weight of those tires that were on there. 17-inch rims, steel rims, and then all the rubber that's on it. Suckers were heavy. Of course, the guy came up from California, and he's got that key lock on his one lug nut on each tire. Yeah, couldn't find the key for it to get that lug nut off. He had to hunt and hunt and hunt. I told him, I said, man, get rid of those key locks. You don't live in L.A. anymore. Hey, away. Yeah, I told him, you don't need that key lock on those tires. It's steel tires. Nobody's going to be stealing those from you, or steel rims. That's what I was doing, Junkyard. I had a foot on each side trying to lift with my feet as well as my hands, trying to get it slipped on. Just listening, talking to yourself. I do that. But I mean, seriously, Junkyard, I couldn't even lift it up that way. I finally gave up. I started using the hydraulic jack to raise and lower it and get it right in the right spot where I could just kind of wiggle it on there. And that took a little bit of work doing that. Get it wiggled on far enough where I get to the two bottoms. So it was a 6-bolt um, rim. I get wiggled on where I could get the two bottom studs on in there, and then I could work it and push it on the rest of the way and get the rest of the bolts on there. That's usually the only intelligent conversation I have around here, Tim. course, when I'm talking to myself, I always have to say, y'all realize only one of us is right. Told you wouldn't buy them, yeah. I could not believe it. Now, I'm sure that they were going to turn the rotors, but they wanted $800 to give them new brakes. Now, I'm kind of wondering if with the front brakes they were going to do I think they were trying to get them to do the front brakes, a wheel alignment, turn the rotors, the whole 9 yards. I think they were trying to oversell them because to me, to turn the rotors, what's that, 20, $30 a piece? The pads were 20 or $30. To keep them if you want me to buy the pickup. Yep. Yeah, I mean, they must have been quoting him for more than just brakes. There ain't no way that brakes job should have cost more than $800. And it would have been more when they realized that they had to replace that one um, caliper. The front end alignment, they were going to probably do that just because it'd pull every time you hit the brakes, and there's nothing wrong with the front end alignment. The tires aren't wearing funny. How much were you able to save that way, Junkyard? I'll bet you any more. It's a whole lot more. Yeah, how long ago did you get that pickup? You wanted 500 for documentation? Holy smokes, 2020. Okay, so it's only 3 years old. How do you like that Nissan? Is it turning out to be a good rig for you? And do they still make the drive lines on those things where there's no Zerk fitting for greasing the U joints, where the U joints are permanent, you can't replace them? Because I know that in early 2000, late 90s, I know back then you couldn't replace the U joints on them. Needs a little bit more foot room on the left side. Yeah. A friend of mine, the one that he had, now his was, I'm thinking it was the late 90s is what he had. But anyway, he really liked and it was a good runner. Never had any much trouble with it, but the U joints did start going bad on it. And so he went to replace the U joints. Come to find out, you can't replace the U joints. You have to replace the whole drive line. So he went to the wrecking yard to try to find a decent used one because it's so expensive to replace the drive line. He went to the wrecking yard and he found one that was wrecked, and the drive line that was in it had been rebuilt. And it was owned by the wrecking yard. The son of the wrecking yard had totaled out the car, and they had rebuilt the drive line to where you could replace the U joints. So he got that for pretty cheap. You know, he was able to buy that, put that on in there, so he was able to replace the joints after that. But he had it for only maybe a year or 2 years after that. Then his grandson borrowed the truck and totaled it. Nothing is greasable anymore. That sucks. I didn't even look at his Land Cruiser, that FJ of his, if it was probably not greasable on his either. Okay, Chevy and Ford, you can heat the yokes with a torch and melt the nylon out, and you can replace. So you can drive them on out then, and you got to put the U joints on in and probably press the one side cup on in first of all. Then you can slip the U joint on in there, then press the other side in. I would be able to handle doing something like that. That wouldn't bother me too much. Be nice if you could still grease them though. Oh, my new video should have released. Let me take a quick look, see if it got released. Don't worry, it's a long one, so you don't need to rush off to it. Yep, me 13 minutes ago. 5 views. If you don't heat them, you may mess them up. leave, give Junkyard and me some alone time. You gotta say something there, Renda. I think so, Tim. Talking too much in class. Yeah, I think this community has been scattered. I'm sure that I was a part of scattering it. I hate to say, but it is what it is, and Doug seems to be holding it pretty good together over there. I'm glad of that for the most part. I don't want no strife between anybody, but I've kind of said to myself, you know what? I really don't want to be a part of communities anymore because I end up getting sucked in the drama, and that's on me. That's not on anybody else, but a little bit of drama here and there. Sometimes I'm the cause of the drama. Just I think I'm better off not being a part of any community per se. And just have a few people come on over here that enjoy chatting with me, and I don't want anybody to feel guilty or feeling bad because they don't want to come over here and participate. And I'm sure they don't. But it just seems to me like when you have communities, then you end up having one community against another community, and this and that, and jealousies, and you always have that one guy that likes to be foul mouthed, and you always have the one guy that needs all the attention, and on it goes, and it's like, you know what? I just don't want to be a part of it anymore. I look at it this way: if I'm going to start putting out videos, with no matter how lousy they are, the people that enjoy my videos, those are the ones that want to come here. Those are the ones I really want to chat with. I don't want to chat with people that don't really get into my type of lifestyle, my videos and stuff. You know, well, I understand, Linda. I feel the same, and I do respect Doug on his stance there, saying no, he's not going to kick that guy on out. I get it. I understand it because Brenda, if you remember back a few years ago when I said I was leaving YouTube, there was end up people that shortly
You
after.
left the door. Oh, you did. You want to come in? Want to come in? Come on. I'll turn it on.
You go in, girl.
Come on. Come on.
Go on in. He doesn't want to.
Come on. Come on.
She doesn't want to.
Want to come in and watch the movie? Come on.
She's staying out here. But anyway, there's a few people that says, well, you know what? If you don't get rid of him, I'm not coming around anymore. And if I wish those people had left Iron Dogs. I mean, but either way, Iron Dog says I'm not going to have anybody dictate to me who can or cannot come to my live stream, and I respect Iron Dog for that. I really do. I might not agree with it on one side of it, but on the other side of it, I respect his values there. Yeah, because I'm an asshole. Is that why, Brenda? I know I really enjoy going to Noodles live chats, but I've decided that I need to pull back on that because there's just too much drama over there. And when it's not the drama, I love chatting with Noodles and giving bad time and joking around. But I think Noodles is a good guy. But he's the people that he's going after for views, they're into that drama stuff, and I feel that I don't want to get wrapped up in drama. I'm like a lot of people you grew up around. I take that as a real big compliment, Junkyard. I did a short on making applesauce in the Holy Westinghouse cooker. I got a comment from Westinghouse Corporation. Cool. Cool, Tim. I got to go check out that short video. I feel the same way, Renda. By the way, Tim, I released a short last night. I was just had that little. I did a, and it's not worthy of look. I'm not trying to get anybody to go look at it. Don't worry about it. But I'm just telling you what I got out of it. I released a short video of showing a turkey that was in my driveway the other day. It was only a 25-second video, and I put it in my Wondershare editor. And there's a deal where you can add jiffies and stuff. And I typed in the jiffy subscribe, buttons or whatever. And I found a subscribe button and ring the bell button that I kind of liked. And I added that to it in the first bit of it to subscribe. I released that video, just that little short video with. I have never gotten a subscription off of the shorts before, but I put that little subscribe button on in there with that video I did with the turkey, released it, and I picked up 4 subscribers with that. So you might want to consider something like that, especially when you do something. I mean, you're doing your type of content, the views that you get. I'm sure some of those viewers, some of the people that see it, they would subscribe. Just saying. I mean, that was one way where I just picked up 4 subscribers overnight. Now what I need to learn how to do is when I make my videos, I got to figure out how I can draw in comments for people to comment on the videos. That's something I just don't know. I don't know how to do to get people to draw in comments. Probably what I had to do is I had to clear out my block list on that channel and let all the blocked people leave comments. But the only people that I have blocked on that list for the most 99% of them are those sex bots or whatever. Had to go pee quick, huh? It was cold. Oh, a friend of mine brought an old watermelon on over there. Says, I don't think it's any good. It's been sitting on our counter for a long time. You can have it. So I took it out and broke it open for the chickens. Boy, they wolfed it on down. It runs but no power. So it's not generating electricity. So it's just the motor that you're getting out of it. Unless it might just be a couple of the diodes or something in it. 5,500 kilowatt. That's the same size that I got. I got a 5,500. What size motor is on it? 7 or 8 horsepower motor, I think. I don't remember what size. It's we didn't have when we first bought this place. We didn't have electricity, and I'd run that generator to power the hot water heater and different stuff. And when I turned on the hot water heater, I could run a couple lights in the hot water heater, and that was it. But without the hot water heater running, after we got our showers on in, then I shut the hot water heater off. 5,500 watt ran everything, the refrigerator, everything. When it hooked the cooking range, we had an electric cook stove back then, and it would also that would really pull it down, but it didn't pull it down as bad as the hot water heater did. You put bigger ones back in. One of these days, I got to dig out mine. Mine's been sitting for so long. I haven't even used my generator in a good 20 years, maybe 25 years. It's probably froze up. I've been thinking. Hopefully it will still put out electricity because I've been thinking about pulling the generator off and hopefully hooking it up to a water wheel to turn it. But I don't know if I'll be able to get the revolutions that's needed for it to produce any power. If I can get even 3,500 watts out of it, I'd be really happy off of the water wheel. Pull it around with your lawn tractor. Yeah, mine has an electric start. Mine came with a pull rope, but I added the electric start to it, so my wife would be able to start it when I was gone. I thought about setting it up with propane, but from what I understood, I'd only get about 5,000 watts or a little bit less off propane because the propane didn't put out the power that the gas motors do. I got a little tiny Honda generator that was given to me. One of those that you pick up with one hand. I've never fired it. I don't know anything about it. One of these days, I got to get it on out and mess with it and see what's up with it. I'd like to use it for like a battery charger. It's just one of those, I don't know, 800 watt. I think it's like an 800 watt generator, but it's an older one. I don't know if, I know Hondas are supposed to be quiet. I don't know if this one's quiet or noisy. I've never heard it run. When I first got this place junkyard, what I did is I had a Chevy Blazer, the K5 Blazer. I put an extra battery in it, in that Blazer, and then in the front grill, I put some arc welding plug-ins in there, you know, the positive, negative, that hooked up to the extra battery. And that extra battery would get charged by my Blazer, but it wouldn't, the motor, it wouldn't run anything. So I could run that battery dead and still start the truck the next morning. But anyway, I put on that Blazer, I had the arc welding jumper cables that I could plug on in. And then at the trailer, I had the arc welding jumper cables in the trailer that I could plug it on in. And that ran our whole house on 12 volt. I had the lighting, everything was 12 volt back then. That had a 12 volt TV, 12 volt VCR, everything. And that worked out pretty good. So, and then we had a battery in the house. So when I'd get on home, I'd let the battery charge up for a while so my wife could watch TV when I was gone. Yeah, run the TV and lights. Yep. Yeah, the refrigerator might be pushing it. But yeah, that was a pretty slick setup that I had. You know, just every evening, because it was an hour's drive to work. No matter where I worked at, it was always at least an hour's drive to work, an hour's drive. So I had plenty of time to recharge that battery. Then I'd get home and I'd let it run for like an extra half hour to top off the battery in the house. Then I'd leave it plugged in all night. I should have gotten an inverter back then. Yeah, I could have, but I just never did. To run electrical appliances like a vacuum cleaner inside and all that different stuff, but I never did that part. Yeah, I kept this whole setup going for quite a while after we got electricity here. I was going to yank it on out, but our first winter, the storm came on through and took out our power for 2 weeks. And after that, for the first 10 years of living here, when we'd lose power, we'd be out of power for anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. But the last 10 years that I've been here, we lose power usually every year, but it's usually only for maybe 4, 5, 6 hours. You know, we're never out of power for long periods of time. They're pretty good now of getting us back up and running again. I do want to yank our. We have electric hot water heater, and I do want to yank that on out and replace it with with an on-demand gas hot water heater. I want to get that in here one of these days. And of course, our well runs on electricity. Can't do anything about that. But we also have gravity flow water. So if the power goes on out, all I got to do is switch a valve, and then we got gravity flow water. So I can still flush the toilet. So when the power goes on out, I can still flush the toilets. And if I had a propane on-demand hot water heater, I'd still be able to take showers with electricity out too. And with the clamp on Brooder lamps. Just for them. Well, inside, I doubt if we'll ever use it anymore now that we have the wood cook stove and the gas cook stove. But when our power would go on out, I had a 2-burner cook stove that I had a tree that I'd put on the propane 5-gallon propane tank. So I had the gas go to the 2-burner cook stove from that tree, and then I could have the barbecue, or I could put a heater on the other part of the tree, and then the top I could screw on a Coleman lantern, and that puts out a lot of light. So that's what we used for quite a while when the power went out. But now with the propane and the wood cook stove, I don't need to worry about cooking at all ever. We do have plenty of candles. What, Stir Fry? You want Grandpa's lap? Come here. Come here. You want Grandpa's lap, huh? The Ranger can run for idle for hours and hours and not use hardly any gas if it needs to. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, getting the generator out is kind of a pain. I've thought about getting one of those breaker setups where they're made to plug in the generator into your power. So you have a switch that you throw that switches it off your power line to the generator, so you don't have no chance of a feedback or anything. I've thought about getting that set up and installing it to where I could run the generator. So all I'd have to do is fire it up and have it already hooked up, ready to go all the time. But we lose the power so little and so short of time. When our power goes on out, I don't mind the refrigerator being off for 4 or 5 hours. And like I said, I can switch the water on over. I don't mind if I have to wait until the next morning to take a shower. I'm fine with that too. So losing power for 4 or 5 hours is not a real inconvenience. The cell phones is I watch a couple of videos on here and do whatever, get on the internet on the cell phone. No big deal for me. That's where it's easy for me, Junkyard. All I got to do is switch a valve, and I'm on gravity flow water. So I don't need a generator for that unless I do want to run the well. Boy, it's been a dead night. The most I've had in here tonight was 6 people. Now we're down to 2, 3. Good evening, Chairman. I thought I'd release that video tonight because I might want to show it. Oh, sometime in the future, possibly in a live stream. You're a pain girl. You want Grandpa's laugh all the time, don't you? You just love Grandpa's laugh. Mm. Mm. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting off here. Been up here plenty long enough. Let y'all get to something more entertaining than this. We'll catch y'all later. Bye, y'all.